Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one think we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, stop talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today I'm sitting down with a man whose leadership has left an indelible mark on New York City and beyond. Derby St. is a retired NYPD captain, author, and transformative leader with more than 20 years of service in law enforcement. Throughout his career, he redefined what public safety could look like, pioneering public health approaches to gun violence, championing wellness within the force, and building bridges of trust between officers and the community. His work has been featured in New York Times, The New Yorker, and PIX 11 News, just to name a few, and his message continues to inspire through writing, consulting, and media. He's also the author of the powerful children's book, Captain Derby's Promise, which fosters understanding between youth and law enforcement through themes of courage, resilience, and trust. Beyond policing, he's a creative force, co-founder of the Set Squad, a movement dedicated to uplifting local entrepreneurs, artists, and change makers. This is a conversation about leadership, purpose, and a promise we all carry, which is to make our communities much better. Welcome to Corey's Corner, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you, CP.
I appreciate you.
Man. I appreciate.
Before we start, I gotta shout out my sponsors. This episode of Corey's Corner is sponsored by Corrupt Mob MC, where unity and brotherhood meets the open road, and by Keela, the premium blend of vodka and tequila that sets the tone for the conversation. Thank you for both partners for sponsoring this episode of Corey's Corner. Okay, let's get into it. You ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely.
Okay, before we start, the headlines and all that heavy stuff, let's start from the beginning. What was your childhood like, and how did those early experiences shape the way you see leadership in community today?
Yeah, so my childhood, I actually grew up in Queens. I grew up in not too far from here, Cambria Heights.
Queens get the money and all the honeys.
Exactly. But yeah, grew up in Queens. My parents are immigrants, Haitian.
Sapase.
Yeah, so actually born in Brooklyn, and we moved out to Queens real young. So spent most of my childhood and young adulthood in Queens. My parents, again, immigrants, really instilled a lot in me. Work hard. Be about community. Be about your family. Be a good person. So all of those things, they instilled in me. But my parents were a big part of who I am today, definitely.
That's great. That was actually my second question. I was going to ask you about your family and how they kept you grounded, but you pretty much answered that. You could have chose any path, but what pulled you toward law enforcement, policing specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I wanted to be a servant in a way. I wanted to support people, but honestly, I kind of fell into it. Kind of during college. So there was recruitment in college. I wasn't sure I wanted to be a police officer, but they kind of came and kind of picked me up, in college. But it felt aligned with where I was at the time. I needed that discipline and structure.
Right.
So I felt the NYPD at the time provided that. But I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a cop or anything like that. I never even thought of being a cop. That wasn't in my mind. But I think when seeing them at the school and recruiting, I think that kind of got me thinking about it more. But it wasn't something I grew up thinking about.
So I always have these visuals going through my mind. Let me bring you to July 2005.
Yeah.
You're a rookie cop in PSA 2. Right?
Yeah.
Police Service Area 2, where they have all the projects or housing developments in Crown Heights, East New York, and Brownsville.
Yeah.
It's your first day.
Yeah.
You there, the rookie class. The commanding officer turns you out.
Yeah.
gives you a speech. So let me back up to 1992. And my first day as a rookie cop, there's an Irish captain there. His shirt is unbuttoned. His tie is disheveled. He's looking, I just came out the Army, and I'm saying, I got to get this guy a job. And I don't even want to listen to them. So tell me what that first day was for you, because I distinctly remember my first day and the commanding officer turning us out.
Yeah, I remember my first day, but I just remember the feeling of being a rookie cop and like not expecting what I saw, I would say. You know, they put us out in Brownsville. It was like 60 of us, rookies. You know, they call it the impact zone. And, you know, they put us in the housing developments, Brownsville, Tilden. And, you know, it was all about, honestly, 250s, man. That's the thing they stressed at the time. So I remember, like, the other rookie cops, they might have had like 6 months more than us. And they were like...
So to you of 250s for the audience, those are stop, question, and frisk reports.
Yeah. Stop, question, and frisk reports. And they was telling us basically we had to get a certain number of 250s, basically. And they were showing us how to do it. So I remember another rookie, he had like 6 more months than me. He was like, this is how you do it. So we was in front of the lobby and somebody went into the door without keys. Mm-hmm. So we let him in. So he said, look, that's a 250. That's a stop, question, and frisk. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of like, to me, it was just weird because, you know, you're new. So you're thinking maybe this is like a legit thing.
Right.
So I went with it being a young officer. But things like that, I remember vividly, like, you know, because I'm thinking I'm going to be a cop. I'm getting guns and stuff, and I'm stopping people for, like, this type of things. And, like, you know how it was back then. It's just little petty stuff. And I just remember, like, man, this ain't really what I thought it was. You know, I thought I was going to be, like, getting, like, the real bad guys.
Yeah. You thought it was going to be, like, Starsky and Hutch,
right?
I'm thinking, like, it was gonna be some real police stuff,
real policing, but it was real. It was real. It's real petty. But I think those are good times because I think it shaped me, my understanding of policing at the time and how I kind of evolved. Mm-hmm. But those were like critical times. And I just remember like the pressures on like all supervisors, the sergeants, lieutenants. And it was really kind of toxic. Thinking back, it was really toxic, the NYPD. And I think it still is. But just reflecting back on the pressures that the supervisors had and how they used to kind of get on us. And like, it wasn't really a environment to kind of, it wasn't healthy, I would say. It wasn't healthy for anybody. And and I think about like how we are towards the public at times, the NYPD and law enforcement is a reflection how we are to ourselves at the same time. So so those are the things I constantly think about and reflect on those early years. But it really shaped me.
So my memory is July 2005, turning out the roll call. I actually was the commanding officer of the precinct. Yeah. And I distinctively remember you standing there as a rookie. Mm-hmm. Omar Edwards, God bless the dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Omar got murdered by the police in plain clothes up in Harlem. And I remember turning y'all out, and I'm looking and saying, this the next generation. Yeah. This the next generation. And I don't really remember, but I know I had to put a bug in your ear to study.
Yeah.
To be a boss.
I don't know if you remember, but you did more than just talk to me in Rocco. You actually pulled me into your office. And I remember I drove you a few times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember you driving me.
And I was surprised.
Yeah, I had drivers. You hear that? Yeah. I had drivers that did well. Yeah. Captain.
Yeah. So, and also, you were you were different. So I never, growing up, I never seen many black officers, but I definitely didn't see a black
commander.
And you were very authentic. You wasn't just a black commander. You was a
My
a
swag
black,
was up. Let them know. My swag was always up.
So I was like, oh wow, you can be actually like a really kind of authentic a bit and be a commander. So
Right.
which made me know that you probably was really smart and you was from Queens. So I remember I was from Queens. I was like, oh, and he's from Queens. But yeah, but seeing you there is definitely kind of like also helped me kind of expand what I saw who I could be in this job. Like that's huge right there. Seeing you, I was lucky to have a black commander,
Right.
Because it kind of opened. All right, I could do this, you know.
Now all the black commanders wasn't good to be role models. I tell you, a lot of them wasn't really black, but it's good. Like sometimes you gotta see, touch, and feel. If you can't see, touch, and feel it, then you don't think it's in your reach. You understand what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was a cop and this lieutenant, like 6'5", 6'6", walked in a 114 precinct. It was only 24 cops in a 114 precinct. It was 26 black cops out of 400 cops.
Yeah.
I was one of the 26.
Oh, wow.
And a big black lieutenant walked in. His name was Thomas Higdon. And he picked me as a driver. And he told me every day, I'm not going to lie, every day he told me to go in the locker room and study. I studied for 8 hours a day.
Wow.
That's how I became a sergeant with 5 years and a couple of months on the job. Because he was like, come up and I'm going to ask you a question. If you get it wrong, I'm sending you back down. So I would come up to go drive, and he asked me a question. I get your shit wrong on purpose so I could study more. And I was like, I'm never going to forget he did that for me. And that's why I was always able to help, not just black cops, any, black, white, Asian, whatever cops that I knew that was on it, that wanted to do it, I was going to make sure I take care of them. But this is about you. So you stepped into a different kind of storytelling now. Mm-hmm. All right? You wrote this children's book called Captain Derby's Promise. What inspired that story, and what message were you hoping to leave with the next generation with this book?
So the story was inspired really. So the story takes place during COVID and the Black Lives Matter protests. And just like thinking about or reflecting how I felt during that time, there was a lot of pressure, as an executive, a young executive. I was newly promoted and I was placed in Brownsville during some tough times. You're talking about 2020. We have the Black Lives Matter protests, and then we have COVID, so this public health crisis that was going on. And then there was expectations from me as a black executive, not only from the police department, from top bosses, but also from the community.
Right.
And just thinking about how we was addressing issues, right, in neighborhoods like Brownsville versus Greenpoint, I would say.
Yeah.
The community would tell me like that. So, okay, they can do whatever. They can violate social distance laws at the time over there. But in Brownsville, it was something different. And there was a lot of conversations about that. And that's where I kind of thought about what we're doing as far as addressing what was the connection between public health and public safety.
Right.
So, and this book really talks about that, those times. And also, I was talking to a lot of young people at that time, and there was a young girl in this book. The story talks about a young girl in this book at a protest who challenges me and how I showed up for community as an officer, but as a black officer. And she questioned me, like, she said, I bet if you weren't in uniform, you'd probably be protesting yourself. And I had to think about that. So thinking about the duality of a black officer, where we have these challenges in policing and community, and yet we have to kind of enforce the law in a way where maybe do we agree with it, or we're just kind of like going with what we told. Yeah, so that's the book talks about a lot of that. Of course, is digestible for kids, so it's a lot of it's heavy conversation, but at the same time, I feel like it's a historical piece because it reflects that time in 2020, the relationship between community and police, and also the relationship between community and young people.
Nice. Well, y'all make sure y'all go out and support the brother with his book. and I'm gonna need your help. I just wrote a children's book called "If I Was a Superhero." I made myself a
Yeah,
superhero.
yeah.
I got a logo. I got a little cartoon guy. He got a cape with a logo. He got some magical disc where he sees something, he just throw the disc in it.
Oh, wow.
We'll talk about that later.
Out.
We gotta get your illustrator. So, how do incidents of alleged favoritism or misconduct by high-ranking officers impact community trust, especially in neighborhoods that already feel over-policed?
Yeah, I think, well, if you're thinking about favoritism and all of that stuff, I mean, we got to talk about what's happening now. And, that's a big concern for executives, and also a big concern for just young officers in every rank, where when officers feel there's no fairness or no structure in how people are picked for assignments or promotions, it leads to a lot of issues. And if you think about what's happening now within the NYPD, multiple lawsuits out the, so many lawsuits, so many complaints, a lot of internal issues with EEOs, et cetera. It reflects why it's so important for us, for the department or law enforcement in general, NYPD, to have fairness in how people are promoted, how people are assigned as well. It causes issues. People are going to the press. People are getting lawyers, and it's something that we gotta address. We can't.
I can honestly say, and I came in '90, so I've been involved in like this policing thing like 30, almost 40 years. It's like the worst right now.
Yeah.
That I've seen as far as the leadership is concerned. I think we have probably the softest leaders.
Yeah.
I'm under the Ray Kelly, Esposito, came in with Anna Moon, like really tough bosses. But so when wrongdoing is alleged within the ranks, should oversight, I wanted your answer on this, should oversight come from inside the department, outside agencies, or a hybrid? What's the best model in your opinion?
My opinion, unfortunately, in my opinion, like the department has done not a great job in handling internal complaints.
You could say horrible.
Yeah, horrible job. I mean, whether it's through IAB or through the Office of Equity and Inclusion, EEO. If you talk to officers, and I talk to a lot of officers, they're not happy how their cases are dealt with. They're overlooked. They're not taken seriously. And if you have a complaint by somebody who's connected, or if high ranking, if it's a chief or they connected to that crew, listen, they just gonna like act like it doesn't exist, honestly. And I made complaints, and I made a complaints with the actual deputy commissioner EEO. Had a Zoom meeting. What's her name? Wendy Garcia?
Garcia.
Yeah, I had a meeting with her, Zoom meeting, and talked about the issue. No response, email. I'm like, at that point, what is the point? So when people say, "Oh, Derby, you going to the papers?" Right. Like there's no path, a path. And I learned, and the thing is, right now, they made me learn the journalist business so good now.
Right.
That's actually part of my next chapter, because I didn't have a pathway internally to address issues, whether it's through internal affairs, whether it's through EEO. That I had to create my own path.
Right.
And I'm showing officers how to use that path as well. Right. So until they address that, there's going to be more people in the paper. I have officers who are coming to me. Right. Listen, I need this addressed. All right, we're going to take care of it. And honestly, I want the department to address these issues in a formal way. Whether it's we have to legitimize the internal mechanisms, whether it's IAB or EEO. Do we take these units seriously? Is it serious? I'm not even sure anymore. It's like a joke now.
So all right. It's something that bothers me. You're a young black executive in the NYPD. You made captain with like what, 15 years old?
Yeah, I was young, 13 years.
So I made captain like 13 and a half years. You don't retire 20 years. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Executive at 13 years, 14 years, you're on the track, like boom.
Yeah.
20 years, you got a bird on your chest.
Yeah.
Something went wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it here, and I hate every show I got to say this freaking God name. Mayor Eric Adams came into office with all his black crony friends that he put in positions, and they screwed this young black executive. There's no captain. If you go through history, it's a handful, maybe 5% made captain at like 13, 14 years, and they not walking out the door with a star on their shirt. I know the story, how you was blackballed by a few people, like fat guys that's like the chief of department now, exactly, without saying his name, and another big fat guy who was the former chief of department. And like the mayor, who was Mr. 100 Blacks in law enforcement, who cares, in the 90s, that was looking out for young black executives or cops, period, he allowed this. Like, what happened? How do you get screwed and you just was like fed up and was like, yo, I'm out?
Yeah, honestly, I'm embarrassed. Not for me, but for the department. Like, it just doesn't look good from the lens of community and from internally from young officers and to officers in other ranks. It just looks like a circus. It doesn't look professional in both how they interact with the community, but also how they interact internally. And again, they both reflections. Like, you can't face the community in a way that is responsive and it's about evolving and growth if we're not doing that internally. It's a reflection. So there's a lot of challenges with the department, and I don't really want to get caught up with like too much with
well, you don't have
issues.
to. So let me tell you, I have a few friends at high places. So I remember when this administration, Adams administration, comes in, and they calling me saying, "Yo, who's this? Who's that? Who you think the rising stars?" I'm like, "Yo, St. Fort. He used to work for me. He's a smart guy. He's on his game, well groomed. He got it. This is the guy." Yeah. And they told what they told me? These two people don't like him. So I actually thought it was a joke. So I'm like, the fuck you mean they don't? What are we talking about? We liking people now, or we put people in position because the work that they do?
Exactly.
And that's why the mayor just had to step down, because he ran a whole circus. He screwed the entire NYPD. It's a circus. But I'm glad you landed on your feet, and it's life after NYPD. I can attest to that after being out since 2013. You're gonna go off. You're gonna do well. Do some consulting and all of that. You're gonna be fine. Let's get back to the questions. There's always tension between holding individuals accountable and maintaining morale and unity. How did you balance that without losing control of your command? Now, you was commander of the 63rd precinct?
61st.
61st precinct. What community is that?
That's like Sheepshead Bay.
Yeah, they put you with the Russians, right?
That's very diverse community. You got that section. You got a large Asian community, Jewish community, and then you have the housing developments, Sheepshead Notion houses.
Right.
But yeah, so we were having a lot of we was having some challenges with gun violence in 2021, 22. And you would notice, much like other neighborhoods, like you working in Brownsville and you worked in the 6-7, where you have all of these community organizations.
Right.
You work with God Squad and all of those.
I created God Squad. We have to be very clear with God Squad. This is my creation. So I felt like these were resources available for a commander. And I know you thought like that and you were strategic. But I don't think a lot of commanders at the time saw like community organizations as resources. Right.
So I was very intentional about using that resources. And that's when, and those resources really focused on public health and healing and addressing trauma. Because a lot of those issues lead to expressions of violence and all the stuff that we see within young people. So I was very intentional about working with them, but I didn't have them in Sheepshead Bay because that wasn't historically an area that had, a lot
Right.
of gun violence.
Right,
But
right.
during that time, gun violence was like everywhere. So at that time, so I wanted to bring them in. So I was very intentional about calling my contacts,
Right.
calling people like God Squad, calling people in other areas in Brooklyn to come into Sheepshead Bay and help me with the gun violence that was happening in the housing developments.
Okay. You're known for your integrity, and you work closely with other respected leaders in law enforcement, such as our good friend Terrell Anderson.
Yeah.
Now, the media reported heavily on a psychological test scandal surrounding Terrell Anderson, Inspector Anderson, and the questions about how internal systems assess leadership readiness. From your perspective, what does that controversy reveal about the fairness, politics, and pressure inside the NYPD?
Yeah, it just symbolizes more of a show, and I know Terrell, and we know the work that he was doing in that unit, candidate assessment division. He was all about creating opportunities for everybody. And what I know about candidate assessment division, they needed a lot of changes within that unit as far as how recruitment is done. Now there's an issue of whether or not the psychologists are licensed. So allegedly, I'm hearing that they're not, based on information from I think the city our article. So there's a lot of issues regarding that. And what I know of Terrell, he was trying to really create some change and structure in that unit. And I think there's some issues in how that was handled by the police department. And I hope there's a real investigation done as far as how we are recruiting. Are we blocking other communities from entering the department? And a lot of people in the community are asking about this. So I know there's some people are looking at this issue. And listen, I'm here to support. I'm supporting Terrell Anderson.
That's
I
right.
know who he is, and I know what he was doing. It was to create change in that unit and create reform. And it's unfortunate that people say they want to, and especially the higher ups within the department, when there's opportunities to create change, they just really almost refuse to even create a pathway for that, and then punish someone who's actually doing it.
Crazy.
So yeah.
So you've been vocal about prevention, not just punishment. The NYPD's gun violence prevention units have had mixed results. All right. What does success actually look like? Fewer shootings, fewer arrests, or more trust?
I think it's always a balance of everything. If you're with prevention, I think even now, right? The department's saying that they're addressing gun violence. Gun violence is lower than it's been in a while, but then trust is an issue, right? CCRBs, I'm hearing, is up, and stop, question, and frisk. All right, so even in that sense, although the crime may be down in a way, but the lack of trust creates still issues between the department and community. So how can we have a balance between those things?
You know, when I was a commanding officer, people used to bring me guns.
Oh,
I don't even know if you know that.
In the community, just
it'd be a shooting, and Danny Goodine, shout out my man Danny.
I know Danny. Yeah, I know Danny.
Danny would call me and be like, "Yo, Inspector, I got the gun. What you want me to do with it?" Just put that shit in a brown paper bag, unload it, bring it to me. Go to the door, tell them you coming to see me. Bring me the gun.
And
I would give it to the detectives, and they'd be like.
And Danny probably wasn't even CMS at the time. He wasn't community.
He's just community. We know how he is in Brownsville. He's well respected. He would bring me guns, and the detectives thought I was on the take. And I said, no. Y'all don't have relationships. Y'all run up on the streets talking about, come on, get in the back of my car. I ain't getting in your fucking car. You trying to kill me? I ain't getting in your car. Instead of saying, yo, give him your card. Say, yo, call me in 2 hours. Meet me at McDonald's. Danny would bring me the guns.
So like,
that's community trust, because I built relationships You don't build them at the shooting. I built the relationships way before the shootings, where the community was comfortable. Like, yo, they gonna turn somebody. Danny, somebody wanted for murder. They call me, be like, Pegues, he gonna turn in. We ain't turning in if you ain't there.
Yeah.
But the other guys, they like, I'm part of the crime. I ain't committed no crime since
exactly.
'87. So
Exactly. They almost think of like you have to be a criminal to even get that much respect.
Exactly.
It's funny because when I was in Brownsville and I was working with like people like Danny Gadeen and the community orgs, they would say you remind me of Pegues. That's
a compliment.
Great. So that was a compliment. So because I guess it says like what you was doing to like really build that trust.
I was trying, man. Hard. Who should lead the fight against gun violence? Law enforcement or community organizations? I got my reservations with community organizations. I'm just saying, you know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a partnership. So I don't think when we think about public safety, I don't think not one entity is leading it. I think we're leading it as a community. So whether it's community orgs, the police department, NYPD, other city agencies, I think it's a partnership. I mean, we can't just do it by ourselves. And there's skill sets that we have in the NYPD that the community orgs can have, that the community orgs have. They're more focused on public health. We're more focused on arrests and addressing, like, rid of like the Band-Aid, but they're addressing issues from the core. So I think it's a balance, and it's important to work with each other. I still think that we could do a lot better in building infrastructure and how we address things together. I think that we should be formalizing it. And how do we know we formalizing it when it's in a patrol guide? I have yet to see what it looks like to be on the street with a community org. What is the scenario? If an organization like Bevo, shout out to Bevo, they out in the field and they're addressing something, but we roll out, they see something happen in the street, they're addressing it, they're violence interrupters, and then NYPD comes afterwards and respond. What is the guidelines around that? Do we just, and they getting paid pretty much by the city too, and so what does that look like? And until we address how it looks like, there's going to be conflict between these groups and NYPD, and there has been. So until we start taking this seriously, they're here to stay. These community orgs, they were there when you was a CEO. Like you said, you helped start God Squad. So
my only thing with the violence interrupters are, how do we quantify the work? So you have a violence interrupter group. They say, we got this catchment zone. There haven't been no shootings in 4 months. So I'm saying, because I used to be a gangster, so gangsters ain't shooting if they ain't got nobody to shoot. They ain't selling no drugs if ain't nobody to sell to. So how do we quantify their work? So I'm saying for the mayor and people that's hiring, we got to do a little more. Like, no shootings in 3 months? How many people in your organization? Give me all their phones. Let me go up on their phones. I need to see where they was out. Because there's no shootings there. When was they out there? We need to know. We just can't be giving them $10 million because it's just the luck of the draw. Nobody want to shoot. They ain't going to shoot. So it's a balance, like you said, but I think they need to work more together. Yes.
Exactly.
If I handed you $10 million today, right? And to stop youth violence, gun violence, where would you spend it and why?
Wow, $10 million.
$10 million.
Yeah. What would I do with it? I would just like create real structure, create real systems. I think it's important to invest in actual infrastructure. I think we've been investing in just pouring money into groups.
Right.
Like, but let's build the system that the groups can actually be within. I think we need to be a little more intentional. Like, let's start building a structure, build a system. I think that was the talks a few years ago. Like, the system don't work. But we have an opportunity to create something new. But instead of creating something new and putting money into the infrastructure, we're just throwing money into things that we're hoping that could work. And I'm thankful for that because I do support the community also. Shout out to all. But at the same time, for them to win, there has to be real infrastructure. Just like in the NYPD, there's real infrastructure. We have units, we have divisions, we have accountability. We can do that as a partnership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to quantify the work.
Yeah.
Well, listen, now we just came to a segment on Corey's Corner called Spitfire. Rapid fire questions. You give me one word answers or yes or no.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
You want sip some vodka, that smooth, refreshing drink.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ant, the sponsors, and Always Corrupt Mob MC. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite cop movie?
Favorite cop movie? Your Doc. I'm gonna go with Your Doc.
Love it. I love him. One word your officers will use to describe you.
We'll say he's a nice guy.
Favorite borough?
Queens.
Better have said that. Most underrated NYPD unit?
Patrol.
Most New York thing about you?
Man. I say sneakerhead.
Okay. What you got on, some ones?
Yeah, got some ones on.
I brought my son those. Nice.
Yeah.
Leadership in one word?
Authentic.
If you could sit down with one historical figure, who would it be? Dead or alive?
I would say somebody like Malcolm X, honestly.
Malcolm X. Yeah, that's the first book I read in entirety, the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Love that book.
Favorite retired hobby? Before you answer, welcome to Every Day is Saturday. You know, I've been retired since 13.
Yeah.
And every day somebody asks me what today is. I go, it's Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, it's Wednesday for you? It's Saturday, every day for me.
Yeah.
Favorite hobby, retired.
I would say, like, now I'm doing this Set Squad stuff. Shout out to the whole Set Squad.
What does Set Squad mean?
Social entertainment and travel. So we're just about, like, bringing community together, having good experiences, uplifting local businesses, having a good time, and creating content. So my favorite hobby now that I'm retired is content creation, cutting up videos, and just, like, showcasing community.
Okay, great. Who inspired your approach to leadership?
I got to be honest. You was one of my first commanders. So he's one of my first commanders. So he really inspired me. And again, you being a black executive and also someone who's authentic and someone who showed up, I saw Queens in you. Growing up in Queens, I'm like, oh man, this is a Queens guy, and he's a commander. So someone who I can resonate with. I think that was a big thing. So definitely you inspired me a lot. And that's no cap. I'm being very serious. I'm not saying that because I'm on the show, but it's something real. I'm saying that for real.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I actually was hoping you answered that way. Appreciate it.
Oh, got you.
Okay. Okay. Before we jump back in, I want to take a second to talk about something close to my heart. Many of the listeners know, or viewers know, that I have this best-selling book, Once a Cop, The Street, The Law, Two Worlds, One Man, that actually was turned into a feature documentary called A Cops and Robbers Story. And you can view that on Apple TV and on Hulu. They both take a deep dive into my life and talk about, the stuff that's in the headline and make it human about my life.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
Peace and blessings, love and light, everybody. This is New York City Public Advocate Jamani Williams, and you're listening to Corey's Corner, where he always keeps it right, not real.
All right. let's dig into like the hardest conversation. Equity within the department. The AM New York op-ed calls out discriminatory promotion practices. What's the biggest barrier for officers of colors in moving up? Basically for discretionary promotion.
Yeah, for discretion.
So for the listeners, cop, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, those are exams. Then after that, the police commissioner promotes you. So it's very hard at that point. How do we weed out there's no racism?
Yeah. So I think the biggest issue is just if you're seen as someone who has counter views of like leadership. So if you are very thoughtful in how you understand policing in a way that you believe, and they don't like it, that's just gonna just destroy
You
your
end
career.
up like Derby St.
Yeah, basically,
and Edward Raymond.
So exactly, I'm seen as a progressive-minded officer, so I won't get promoted because historically, the department leads on very conservative viewpoints of policing.
Right.
But that's just a viewpoint. That's not factual. That's a viewpoint, just like there's other viewpoints. And unfortunately, if you're an officer with different and the NYPD, we have a diverse set of officers. You're going to have a diverse set of viewpoints, but a lot of officers are afraid to share their viewpoints because it might hamper your promotion opportunities, your assignment opportunities. So for me, I don't think it's about color as much as it was maybe during your time, and that's my opinion. I think it's more about how you see policing. If you see policing differently, and if you're a progressive officer, and you're kind of if you have spoken about it and you publicly say it, it might hamper you, unfortunately.
What's tougher to change, policy or culture?
I would say culture, in my opinion. Thinking about, there's been a lot of policies shifts within the department, but when you have a culture that refuses to change, they find loopholes in policies. They're determined to find loopholes in policy. So it happens all the time. So I think culture is tough. What's the department is 100 and I don't know how many years old it is.
Since 1865.
Yeah. So yeah, culture is real tough.
Yes. Yeah, I remember I was a cop, and my partner was an young Irish cop. And he used to tell me, well, my father told me this how we do it. And I'd be like, your father was a cop in the 60s. It's 1990. We don't do that shit no more.
Yeah, exactly.
So the culture it's so ingrained.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so
hard.
ingrained.
It's almost
hard.
I tell people the NYPD is almost like a religious institution. You gotta look a certain way, be a certain way, show up a certain way. If you go against that culture, they will reject you. Like, it's crazy. It's like, yeah.
So if an oversight unit such as like EEOC, right, loses credibility, how do you rebuild trust internally and with the public?
Yeah, I mean it can't be performative stuff. It can't be just like moving somebody. So there's been a lot of, if you think about what's happened recently, there's been a lot of movements happening in punishment. But did you hear anything about policies? There's no policy changes. Even what they did to Derail, like, right? They moved them. They said, oh, he did something wrong, but I haven't heard any shift in policies, how they do recruitment now, what did he do bad supposedly, and what ways we're going to continue to do better. There has been no policy change. So
we've seen police commanders try everything from mentorship to healing circles.
Yeah.
Paying young men to attend a healing circle, genuine effort or a quick PR fix?
Yeah, so I mean, so what I was doing, and I think that was another thing that people didn't understand.
You had a healing circle.
I had a healing circle.
You was paying the kids to come
I wasn't
to the
paying them. What I was doing, I was working with an organization
that was paying them.
That was
right,
paying.
Yeah, you wasn't paying them.
But I actually got investigated by IAB.
Of course you did.
Because they said
Absolutely.
I would. They kind of looked into whether or not I took precinct funds to pay the kids.
Right, yeah, like
so
like
it
you
was
had a
silly.
bank inside the precinct.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I was always about, again, partnering with community orgs. And the other thing, they didn't really understand what I was doing.
No, they did not.
Much like what you said when you was working with the organization.
Right.
So, but instead of asking and inquiring, they
go right to
do
investigation, internal affairs.
Yeah.
You must be doing something crazy.
Yeah.
No, like I have my feet to the ground and post to the street. I know what
It
works.
works.
They don't get that because it's not something. I remember, and I'm telling y'all here now on Corey's Corner. When I was a cop, we used to do the gun buyback. Bring a gun in a brown paper bag, bring it to the precinct, give you $200. Right? I had a meeting one day with Congressman Ed Towns, big congressman down in D.C. He said, I'm having a meeting with the police commissioner. I want to speak to the 3 commanders. East New York, Dave Barrera, me, PSA 2, and Fat Boy Jeff Madry. He had 7-3 precinct. So he said, I'm having a meeting with Ray Kelly tomorrow. I want to know how we could get these guns off the streets. And I told him, true story. I wrote about it in my book. I said, listen, nobody believes they bring a gun to the precinct, they're going to get money. This shit don't work.
Yeah.
I said, how about we do this? How about we put cops in soft clothes, do it at a church, have people come with the guns, no questions asked. Don't ask no questions.
Yeah.
Detectives got to solve the crime. Bring the gun, give them the debit card, $250,
And let's
walk
keep
out
it.
the back. Walk in the front door, get your car, walk out the back door. No questions. I don't care if it got 10 bodies on
Yeah.
it. The deal is to get the gun off the streets.
Yeah.
I saw Ray Kelly like a week later. True story. He says, Corey, I had a meeting with Ed Towns. This is a good idea. If it works, I'm taking the credit. If it doesn't, I'm going to kill you. True story.
True story.
And now today they done took
And it's
500,000 guns off the streets. Because I didn't get no credit for it. NYPD, y'all owe me credit for it. My idea, and I didn't get credit for it.
And this is why, and looking at your career and looking at other careers, that's why it's important to tell our own stories, because there's been historically they've taken the credit from black executives, black people in general, take our ideas and then benefit from them and don't even like whether or not it's credit. We almost get in trouble for doing it. And then
Exactly.
we get in trouble for doing it. So I've been very intentional about my writings and also creating, doing creative works like this children's book. Although it's a children's book, but it's also telling my story. So this is
Right.
based on a true
Of
story.
course.
So I think it's important for us to tell our own stories.
How can leaders make sure community engagement is authentic and not just optics?
Yeah, I mean, for example, like, I what we're talking about, where they see what we're doing and it's from the heart, and then they're like, oh wow, let's keep it moving, but then it loses credibility, especially when it's not sincere, when it's just based on optics and performative stuff. So, but yeah, it's important to put the right people in the spots. Who really believe in whatever initiative is going on, so it can actually thrive and the community can feel that sincerity. Yeah.
So do small scale programs like youth circles or scholarships make a real dent, or are they just a Band-Aid on the bigger wounds?
I think addressing any public health concern within any community, whether it's Brownsville or Sheepshead Bay, I think it creates a cultural shift within the community where public health is a big concern, and people in the community seek options that elevate the health and wellness of the community. So I think it's more than just a Band-Aid. I think you're addressing issues of safety and health from the core when we do that.
Okay, last question. What's the most underrated factor in building trust between youth in high crime neighborhoods and the police?
What's the underrated factor? I think it's recognizing that we have more resources than we think. When you have all these organizations, we have agencies, and we're not utilizing them because we want to say that we can handle everything. I think that's the issue. So I think it's underrated that we don't see the resources that are available right in front of our eyes as officers, as law enforcement agencies.
Just because the police think they could do everything.
Yeah. That's the biggest issue.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah,
right
one-stop
there,
shopping. Yeah, one-stop shopping.
And I don't want nobody else to be involved, right?
It's like we don't want to give up the power of being that one-stop shop, because if we give up the power, then we lose. Maybe a chief don't feel much as a chief as he did before, whatever it is, whatever is that cultural issue within the department. But we have more resources. And the thing is, what I've learned, that those resources were doing the work anyway and independent of the police department. So what happens when they have successes, we were left out. We don't even know what's going on. And in fact, we're not educated on alternative safety initiatives or safety strategies. So when we talk about public health strategies, they don't even know how to talk about it because we don't want to look there. But I'm seeing some change within the young executives now. I think they're more aware that there are resources in the community. So I think it's a matter of time that we kind of lean in more towards that.
Before we wrap, is there anything you'd like to share that we didn't cover?
Nah, I just want to shout out to the whole set squad, Jan Lou, Mimi, Victorious, my boy Eugene, Ashana, the whole team. Shout out to y'all.
Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram or social media, but on Instagram, Derby_St Fort. You can find me on Instagram also on set_squad_NYC. You can find me also at Captain Derby's Books on Instagram.
Man, this conversation was powerful, layered, right, and necessary. Thank you for stepping into Corey's Corner. We really appreciate you and giving us the kind of insight that make headlines make sense. I love you.
Appreciate you.
I'm expecting big things out of you.
Thank you so much.
Now that you out of this kangaroo blue court out there in the NYPD, you're going to be making a lot of change, man.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for you. Always got to see that Corey's Corner.
Thank you, bro.
Always.
Can I say one more thing about my...
Yeah.
So one more thing. I have my retirement celebration at the Gentleman's Factory Saturday, November 1st from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Everyone pull up, please. RSVP. There's a link in my bio on my Instagram. And also make sure you cop the book, Captain Derby's Promise, also available on Amazon and CaptainDerby'sBooks.com. Thank you, y'all.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
For our listeners and viewers, if you found value in today's episode, make sure you follow, subscribe, and support. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.